Hello and welcome to the Citizen Service Show. I am with Sonya Harris Hall, your host. Crime seems to be on everyone's minds these days, and joining me for an in-depth discussion of the Memphis Police Department is our very own Director Toney Armstrong, who heads up the Memphis Police Department. The mom that called you, for the senior citizen that called you, I'm sure if they're listening to this, they're elated to hear that there will be a movement by the police to come into my community or the two communities that you select to restore order. But how does the community, how do those people engage in that process? Is there a way for them to engage and to help the police to restore the order? Or you mentioned a new governance of the community once you all move to another area. How does the community interact and have some involvement with that?
Well, a lot of these communities, what we'll do is we'll identify the needs of that particular community. We'll identify what we feel like is lacking in that particular community. If there's no neighborhood watch groups, if there's no, every community is different. All communities are unique in their own ways. Some communities are heavily populated by retired elderly. Some are younger people. Some are single mothers. Some are, every community has its own dynamic.
That's right.
So it's our job to identify exactly what's going on in this particular community. If it's a community that's heavily populated by teenage boys that doesn't have fathers at home, that's a problem. That's a problem, and it has an impact on crime because what's going to happen in these boys' free time if there's nothing to occupy their time? So if you turn kids, especially impressionable kids, they hadn't quite come into their own yet. If you turn them loose without any guidance or any direction, they'll kind of find a way of their own. And what we found is sometimes, not sometimes, more often than not, it's not necessarily the most productive thing, for them to do. So we have to get a community to buy in. We're going to pull those communities together. We're going to pull all the resources that we have throughout the city. That's one of the things that when I took office, I started getting so many phone calls and so many emails once I announced that we have a community police initiative of people that are basically saying, hey, I'm here and I wanted to help. I'm the head of this agency, or I'm the head of this agency.
Awesome.
So there were so many things out there that, I'll be honest with you, I just wasn't even aware of, that I had to make a file just for agent. I got all of the agency help folder. But there was nobody to direct the traffic to all of these agencies. There was nobody to say, okay, this is what this community needs, and we have somebody that could fulfill that particular need.
So it sounds like this saturation in the communities that you choose will engage other partners. It won't just be the police.
No, it won't just be the police.
That's the thing, community.
Partners. That's the whole thing. Our faith-based community is going to be play a big part in that. One of the things that happened when I took office is I got a phone call one day and said, Director Armstrong, the gang members would like to meet with you. I said, what do you mean the gang members want to meet with me? And they said, well, we got a bunch of gang members that like to sit down, they like to talk to you.
Wow.
So I went and talked to them. We sat down and met, and they basically, it was eye-opening for me, and they basically said, we've watched your career. I spent 4 years in homicide and being on TV and all the publicity that came along with homicide, that, we've watched your career, kind of like what you've done, and we're kind of proud of you. We're awesome. As an African-American young guy that come from the same neighborhood that we come from, we're proud of you, and we're kind of tired of this lifestyle, and we're ready to lay it down. But the challenge in that was, Director Armstrong, if you ask me to lay down and be in a gang, then what? And do what? And that's a challenge, because what happens is once you have that stigma of being a gang member, it kind of follows you for the rest of your life. Even if you hadn't been convicted of a crime, that stigmatism of being a gang member still follows you. So that's where our faith-based community comes in. I'm hoping to have a program as to where, when we identify these gang members that wish to step away from the gangs, we can have them another avenue and allow them to some of our ministers and some of our faith-based community leaders to embrace these gang members and to show them that there is a different side to life than the one that you've chosen. And in the realm of Christianity, we have to learn how to forgive. And not only forgive, forget. You know, you made some bad choices, but we all have.
Yeah.
We all have made bad choices.
That's powerful, Chief. That's very powerful, Director Armstrong. And so you do hope to realize a reduction in youth violence as a part of this initiative, I would assume.
Absolutely. In those particular areas, I expect a almost immediate impact. Okay. And what we found are those, if we start in the areas that are most heavily impacted by youth violence, we're hoping that as we rebuild these communities, and when I say rebuild these communities, I don't mean just in the realm of crime. I mean totally rebuild. Whatever the problem is in those particular, if it's blight, if it's dilapidated lots, if it's parks, if it's the kids, the gangs members have taken over these particular parks, and the kids can't go to these parks anymore. We're going to fix that.
And I did hear you say, when you speak of the other areas of the city, the blight, the parks, I did hear you say that this would be a collaboration with other directors of other divisions. So it's going to be a large partnership in order to make this really happen.
Well, if you know, the mayor has this initiative, his innovative team together. Actually, I just met with them yesterday. And their job is to make sure that all the division directors are working in concert with each other, and we are all offering each other the resources that we need to help achieve this goal, the Mayor's Youth Violence Initiative goal. At the end of the year, last year, statistically, our youth drove crime in almost every statistical category. Homicides, victims and suspects, aggravated robberies, victims and suspects, aggravated assaults on both sides. You know, there was that dynamic of our youth driving every single statistical category.
And that's something that we as city residents need to be, and as members of the community need to be aware of, that we all have a role to play in order to really ensure that our youth have these opportunities to change and to just afford them an opportunity at potential growth in their lives, that they don't have to remain gangbangers.
Well, you can't turn your back. You know, at the end of the day, it's not going to fix itself, and you can't turn your back. Parenting, and we just have to be honest with ourselves, parenting is not what it once was. Our parents are much younger now. The education levels are not what they once was. So we have to realize that. We have to realize that there are a lot of kids out there that don't have a positive influence in their life at all. So kids will seek love wherever they can get it.
That's true.
And sometimes it's not always from a positive source. So if that love is not coming from the home, that's when gangs come in, because you have somebody saying, hey, we'll embrace you. You know, now you got to be willing to come along with all the madness and all the things that go along with being a gang member, but we'll embrace you. But imagine if we can have some of our churches and our faith-based communities to do that. Our young men, especially African-American men, need mentors. They need a role model. They need people to say, hey, there's a guy that comes from the same background that I am, walked these same streets that I walked.
Made different choices.
And he made different choices. And because he made different choices, look what he's done in his life now. That's a role model for me. That's a map for me. And if you think about it, when you're going out of town with technology now, you don't necessarily need it, but back in the day, we all had maps stretched all over the place to try to get us from one place to the other. Well, now you got phones and GPSs and all that. But life is the same thing. You have to get kids a map. You have to get them, your kids, and certainly my kids. It's probably not going to be an option in your house for kids. You know, when you, you know, after high school,
going to college.
There is college. You know, it's not a choice. You know, but our kids, there are so many kids now that have to make so many tough decisions just on everyday basic things that we take for granted.
That's right.
You know, you have kids now that get up every morning and have absolutely no idea, what am I going to eat today? You know, where's my next meal going to come from? Where am I going to get clean clothes from today? Where am I even going to stay tonight? You know, so if you put a teenage kid in that position, what do you expect? You know?
And Chief, I don't know, when does this all roll out? Is there a targeted date that we're envisioning, or is that something that's still kind of in the works?
We're close. We're actually in the process now of relying on the data to give us the area, to provide us with the area. So I won't give you a specific
That's
date,
fine.
but I will say probably within the next couple of months.
But citizens need to be monitoring the websites, monitoring.
I'll make an announcement when it
Okay.
comes out, and
All right.
we'll make it public when it comes out. But they need to also be aware that we're going to be very, very aggressive.
Okay.